Just as Nigerians were getting accustomed to their daily e-transaction bank charges, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has announced a new regime of bank charges, including a reduction in the amount payable on cash withdrawals from other banks' automated teller machines from 65 naira to 35 naira. Now, there were also reduction on charges for electronic banking transactions, with some getting more than 50% cuts. Now, the CBN also included sanctions on banks and financial institutions to directly address excesses unapproved and arbitrary by banks. The use of unstructured supplementary service data, that's USSD, as purchase with cashback will now attract a charge of 100 naira per 20,000 naira, subject to cumulative 60,000 naira daily withdrawal. Now, this has been described as an excellent gesture, where a way to also extend banking services to the unbanked. What now is the CBN trying to discourage the use of USSD while encouraging the use of smart phone bank applications? The recent review of these charges by the Central Bank of Nigeria is our focus on the program today. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Anne Jibuno. I'm being joined by Ahmed Sajo. He's a former Commissioner for Information and Strategy at Damawa State. He's also a public affairs commentator. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much.
And we also have joining us Kofo Abdul Salam Alada. He's the Director, Consumer Protection Department as the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. You're also welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Now, the CBN has been commended for this gesture. But before then, let's talk about these services that the banks were supposed to charge. What are these services?
Well, you know that the range of services provided by banks and other financial institutions is a very wide one. Ranging from, deposit taking, making of loans and credit transactions, electronic banking transactions, so many other things. So, and in doing this, when they engage with a customer, when a customer is being onboarded, what we expect to have, and which we have now mandated now anyway, is that in their relationship with the customers, they're supposed to be upfront on almost everything with regards to the products and services that the bank or other financial institution is offering the customer, from, how complaints are to be addressed, from terms and conditions of the contract between them. That is the product characteristics. What are prices, including interest rate, what are the charges available, what are the ways of even reviewing the terms and conditions of these services and products. They're supposed to be in the transaction document that will be handed over to the customers. We may be asking, what about customers who cannot read and write? That is where we come in as central bank and protecting the customers. And also, remember that our protection of customers goes beyond just the established customers and those who are knowledgeable. So because we want to get more people into the financial ecosystem, so we also cater for those who are not so well read, if we put it that way. So we want to encourage these people that, okay, when you come into the system, you are protected by an institution known as the Central Bank of Nigeria, and maybe SEC if it is a capital market transaction, PENCOM with its pension and all that. For us, like I said, the services are so many, okay. But we have anticipated all this in the document that we have just issued, which we're going to be talking about, known as the Guide to Bank Charges, which started way back as Banker's Tariff, okay. Graduated in 2004, then 2013, 2017, and now we have this one. In view of the development of products and services, evolution of these services over the years, so because it has become necessary to take a look at all this. But
we
the most important thing is that for this, electronic banking transaction is taking the forefront.
We'll be getting to the details very soon. Now, Ahmed Shaju, let's look at reactions. People have described these charges as robbing Peter to pay Paul and all that. It's been discouraging the cashless policy of government. How will this help bring in more people, bring in more unbanked people into the financial system?
Actually, thank you very much. I think that's the key thing. The key thing is that the central bank must, of course, design policies that will ensure financial inclusion. Currently, I tell you that as hard as economic policy drivers have been trying to encourage us by telling us that our GDP is growing, our economy is growing and all that, for as long as majority of our people are not captured within the formal economic setup, the indices we are using may be absolutely wrong. And one of the ways to capture people, particularly ordinary people within the informal sectors of the economy, capture them, have their data, and begin to use our calculations based on available data, is financial inclusion. Capture everybody into the financial ecosystem and the banking ecosystem, and make sure that everybody, transacts, undertakes his transactions through the banking system. When you transact businesses through the banking system, what you are doing is you're providing the regulators means of tracking activities within the economy. And so any policy that will encourage financial inclusion is a very good policy. But any policy that discourages people, that forces people to put their money under the pillow, or begin to carry bulk cash to go and transact businesses, it's actually counterproductive, and we have to be very careful about that. But again, I noticed that as an individual, it's only when you want to withdraw something above 500,000 that there are charges on the excess above 500,000. Ordinary people who are within the bracket that we want to capture into the financial system, may find it very hard to withdraw. They cannot even raise 500,000 within a period to say they will withdraw above that. I think it's not robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's asking those of us that have capacity to actually earn huge sums of money to run our financial transactions with some sense of responsibility, so that we don't fly cash around. And the central bank can now say, look, this at the end of any transaction period, this is the quantum of money that is within the system. And on the basis of that, they can sit down with the economic policy drivers and say, look, okay, this is what we're going to do. And if we inject a stimulus from this end of the financial system, we will get a result of this magnitude on the other end. And once we are able to do all of this, we will now begin to get our act together as far as economic indices are concerned, as far as economic means of determining the economic viability of our system, our country, our economy is. And I think that is a very welcome development. I tell you that if you go to the streets, one of the things that people are very happy about is the reduction of the 35 naira thing.
Yes.
But, it also is one very area that I don't know if the central bank is aware or is not aware, that it says that those charges are supposed to be done if you transact 3 times, above 3 times on the other banks. But I tell you that, the reality of it is that sometimes banks begin to charge you from the very first transaction. And no, it's not about central bank. It's about the entire system. How do I get us as high up as I think I am, it will be very difficult for me to reach him in central bank and complain about what I am going through in a bank, not to talk of a person that is way down there in the village that has never even seen the central bank anyway, and has not seen a regulator, has not seen the banking system. You call their customer line and it tells you it is busy for this. So all of these things anyway.
What's been done to address his concerns?
Actually, it's a major concern, and thank you for that intervention. Just to put it differently, it's a major thing, like I said, to capture the flow of funds within the system is a major plus for monetary policy planning and decision and execution. Yes, the system is, financial. Okay, let's just leave that. But the major concern that you just mentioned now, let's address that, which is that people find it difficult to complain. I think we have made that very, very easy, and I want to also rely on the regulations that Central Bank has just released on consumer. Yeah, we made it easy. What have we done? We have asked the banks, submit to the Central Bank before 31st of March your compliance plan, your internal processes and procedure for consumer protection. And for you to do that, you have to show how you are going to comply with the regulations that were brought. And what I will expect, we have said that every financial institution, regulated financial institution, should have put in place communication channels that will be easy for customers to reach them. And, well, if I may just let the cat out of the bag, from time to time, you have people trying to find out what is happening with the contact centers of banks. And we mandated now that for fraud-related reports, 24/7, somebody must be there to receive calls and action such report almost immediately. So I expect that fraud is taking place midnight, Friday, and you have to wait till Monday before things are done. Yes, just to put it out there, the Central Bank has put in place now a consumer complaint management system. It's an e-platform. Presently, we've designed the financial institution platform. Well, as we approach in 2020, it's expected that we'll have what we call public portal, where people can, in the comfort of their home, actually know what's going on with their complaints. Everybody seems to have telephone these days. So where you have an issue with your bank or financial institution, the first port of call, and I think that is the mistake that people may be making. It is not the central bank that you go to first. It is when you have exhausted all the avenue in your bank that you now come to central bank. And that's what we call the escalation process. You meet your banks. If they do not honor you, with response, or they honor you with a response and you feel dissatisfied with what they have done, then you come to the central bank. Coming to the central bank does not mean you have to visit. Yes, you may have issue, for security purposes. Not everybody can just walk into central bank if you don't have any business there. But if you have business of reporting complaint,
so where do we go?
Complaint, yeah. If you have problem of reporting complaint, you are actually giving special attention. That I can tell you for free.
Just walk into the
not walking in. Okay. What we do is that we have dedicated lines, that are available. Then we have dedicated email. Email will be for the millennials and people who are learned, but telephone will be the easiest.
So where do you get the numbers?
You can get the number on our website. Okay. We have special contacts, and as these calls are received, they are passed on to the appropriate desk to address your problem. And what do we do? The moment we get it, an instant email is sent to the bank to address your issue. And that's why people go on Twitter and say a lot of things, but we are not encouraging people to put their details out there on the social media for Central Bank to deal with. So many other things are being planned to make things easy, access to Central Bank easy as we go for next year. Noting that this is a major issue for us to be able to achieve financial inclusion. We want to give confidence to those who have tried to bring in, to ensure that they are protected whenever they come in.
Okay, well, after the break, we will continue. Let's take a break now and listen to what Nigerians are saying about the review by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I heard that, on the news yesterday, and it's so interesting. So that means the rate at which these banks are actually, taking our money will actually be curtailed by the CBN. So that's a very good intervention from CBN, and we hope that actually more goodies will actually, be unfolded in 2020.
The review is in order because it's one of the issues in the banking sector we are trying to let the government address. Most importantly, this last increase too, where you have to pay some percentage before you can withdraw above 500,000. That's another major problem. That one has to be looked into.
At least it's a fair try, but they could do better than that. If you're using the same bank, maybe I'm banking with GT, it's supposed to be free. I know when I use another bank, at least once, it should be there 35. It will be fair. At least it will lessen the burden of common Nigerians.
Yeah, we have been experiences and we are not happy about it at all. This is really a welcome development.
Are they supposed to be charging in the first place? I have my ATM in my pocket and you're charging maintenance for it. What are you maintaining in the ATM that is in my pocket? 35 naira. So 55 naira and 35 naira, what is the difference? It's still huge. If every person who does electronic transaction pays 55 naira, do you know what that means? Where is the money? What are they doing with it?
If you're just joining us, this is Nigeria Today, and our guest is still here with us. Ahmed Sajo, former Commissioner for Information and Strategy at Adamawa State and Public Affairs commentator, and Kofo Abdusalam Alada, Director, Consumer Protection Department at the Central Bank of Nigeria. You listened to comments from Nigerians there. Could you react to some of them? Somebody said he has his ATM in his pocket and he's been charged
actually,
maintenance fees.
Yeah, these are some of the concerns that, the new guide to bank charges are meant to address. What he has just said. Now, the steps we are taking now is this. For current accounts, he will not be faced with that anymore because, yes, you already have, you are paying, for the account maintenance, for the month. Why should you still be paying for this particular one? So that is already taken out now already. So he's not going to have his card in his pocket and be charged for it anymore. So, and we just say that some of these are gradual. You expect most of the charges that we have looked at now, we have limited them to cost recovery only. The banks are not supposed to profit on on something that is incidental to their provision of services. For example, SMS. People have been talking about it. 4 naira being charged for SMS messaging. SMS messaging now are only limited to the cost. What are the telcos charging the bank for them to send this? So we discovered that it is not 4 naira, so it's below that. So it's cost recovery. Then it's only also for customer-induced transactions. So it is only when I do a transaction and you have to inform me to notify me that you've done this. That is when a bank can charge me for SMS messaging.
Sometimes they send you like about four
that is being addressed. And a quick one. According to some of the things out there on the street, you see, the first 3 transactions for it on ATM, that is remote or not, when you are using another bank's ATM, the rules are there. Definitely you see that rules, human beings will want to flout rules. And that is why question of sanctions come in. So, and again, before we even go to sanctions, if we do not know about this, how do we sanction? So you understand? So we do 2 things. We do spot checks at times into the books of the banks to see what has happened. And the second one, if we get complaints from customers, those are the 2 scenarios where you can even have sanctions against the bank. So what we don't know, we don't act. But we used to spot 2 vehicles. Consumers out there are being encouraged that do not sit back anymore. Seek out to know about your rights and go after your rights. As we also encourage the banks, do not even wait for customers to start complaining. Address these things up front before complaints will come. And we always tell banks out there, the best advertisement you can have is a satisfied customer. A single dissatisfied customer can bring business down. Yeah. So why should banks not put in place? And that's why we're helping the bank to help themselves, to help the customer, and for the customer to help themselves so that we can also help the bank. It's a cycle.
Okay, now let's briefly talk to Ahmed Sajo. You are a consumer. Yeah. Now, are you comfortable with the charges on POS? Do you see this affecting
actually it's affecting the e-banking process. It will take some time for people to adjust to that. Here you are encouraging me not to carry cash about, that I can walk into any center and buy my things with my card, which is very, very a welcome development. It's an improvement. But here again we are, telling me that I'll be charged. But that is not even a loan. Sometimes you go to the POS, your bank must have deducted amount due in respect of the transaction. The person you bought the goods from says it has not, gone into his own account, and then he gives you a piece of paper and tells you to go to your bank and rectify your problem, but all he wants is his own money, his or her money. And then you now go and you go to your bank and they tell you that, okay, lodge a complaint and leave it until some time. And for us who are probably in doubt, it may look very meager. I did a transaction of 2,000, 3,000, and I have a lot of money in my bank account, so I can wait, or even if it's 10, 20,000, I can wait for some time. But there are people, take for example, what is the minimum wage? Let's assume somebody is paid the minimum wage of 30,000 naira, and
so
he goes to a supermarket and has a transaction of 20,000, and then the POS deducts it and it doesn't get into the customer's account. What do? You go home and live hungry with your family. You have no means of... so there are issues that the central bank must address. But the most important issue, and we're sitting down here talking, we are communicators, and we need to advise not just the central bank, but in the entire gamut of the Nigerian system, is that public engagement, communications, beyond using, the elitist approach of using the media, we need to reach out to people. People must know these things exist so that they can partake in them. It's very important, and we are not doing that. We're relying on the time-tested adage that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But I think it's an excuse for people who have a responsibility. Nations grow because of strong institutions, not because of strong individuals.
Now let's look at the sanctions on defaulting banks. How will they be implemented, and what kind of feedback mechanism have you put in place to ensure that? I know you have numbers and all that. Is it beyond that?
Yeah. Now let me just quickly say that when in terms of communication, okay, we are always out there. Even central bank carries out what we call CBN communication fair. These will carry to nooks and cranny to actually talk to people, and we have pamphlets that we're putting out there. And for next year, there will be social media engagement and all that, in addition to going down to the grassroots to communicate about people, about customers' right. For sanctions have always been there, only now that we've also modified it. And how do we carry out sanctions? I was giving you an indication earlier on that when we go on the field and we find infractions, we give sanctions. And one key thing is the fact that banks are even afraid now of sanctions. It's not just because of the economic impact of these sanctions, but the fact that they are mandated to put it on their financial statement at the end of the year. And when you now have a bank reporting huge penalties by a central bank, it has something to do with the governance structure of that bank. Banks will never love that. So for us, feedback can always be from users of services. You understand? This is the issue. If you don't make complaint, that's the major feedback that we should be having that can prepare us to apply sanctions against banks. It is the last thing that we want to do, but sanctions we must do if we have to get people to move in Nigeria. And again, you can also incentivize as well. We want to look at which bank has done so well for its customer. On the electronic side of it now, from time to time, there's an annual award for banks who do so well, on electronic transactions. You understand? Then quick one on POS. I know a lot of hue and cries about 50 naira and the rest of them. Some of these are being applied wrongly. Nobody is saying that, I have to pay extra 50 naira just because I bought XYZ. It is the merchant that is supposed to pay. Yes, we want to look at whether it's you want to disincentivize merchant from using POS. But we are expecting now that with the expected assent to the finance bill, it is only transactions of 10,000 and 10,000 naira above now that will attract, stamp duty, electronic transaction above 10,000. So for instant transfer also, we have also have a graduated, charges also. to encourage people. So before now, you have the standard 50 naira, 52 naira that you see when you do any NIP transaction. But now, it's already been graduated. It is only when you do 50,000 naira and above that you'll be seeing a 50 naira in your, account.
So the POS charges that we have paid earlier on 1,000 transaction, and can we get it back?
These are taxes. These are statutory taxes. It is not a central bank thing anyway. It's not a central bank thing.
No, but we are told it was a central bank.
People do it wrongly. For those who contact us, we actually let them know that it is taxes that you are paying. It is not a central bank thing, So we can use this opportunity to let the world know that it is not a central bank.
I think you need to tell the world that it's not central bank.
It's not central bank. It is actually federal government, and is what is used to provide all these for you and I to survive in Nigeria. So we're going there. More people, not talking to the fiscal authority, but more people will be coming to the tax net, and we expect also that the fiscal authority will teach us about taxes.
We're completely out of time, but I can't ask any more questions. Go for Abdul Salam Alada, Director.
But I'm still asking, can I collect my 50 naira that I paid earlier that was taken from tax?
Okay, thank you very much, Kofo. Abdul Salam Alada, Director, Consumer Protection Department, Central Bank of Nigeria, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we also thank Ahmed Sajo, former Commissioner for Information and Strategy at Damawa State, and Public Affairs Commentator, for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Well, that's it.
I'm grateful I spoke for Nigerians.
And we appreciate your comments. Well, that's it.
We're happy Nigerians as well.
Well, that's it on Nigeria Today. We appreciate you for staying with us on the program today. Do join us again, same station, every weekday at 7:30 p.m. Also catch this and other editions on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub.